Okay, college algebra, we're going to continue our review, take a look at graphing some lines, writing some more additional equations. So to graph a line in slope-intercept form, hopefully we're not having any issues with that. We'll go through this real quickly. First thing you need to do is simply identify the slope. Well, the slope is -1/2 here, and b, or the y-intercept, is 3. The first thing I would do is go graph that y-intercept. 1, 2, 3. It's right there. Apply the slope. If I have a -1, that represents my rise, so I would go down 1. If I have a +2, I would go to the right 2. I always double check when I draw that line, is that going to be going down? Because it should be. It's negative. Yes, it is. Therefore, I will go ahead and graph this line here. Let's see, I think it'll be about right there. And not ideal. About more like that. Looks good. Okay. So let's go down to the next one here. Again, it's in slope-intercept form. I've got a slope of -1, which I like to write as a fraction, right? And you could write it like that with the negative on top, or you can always write it with the negative on bottom, depending what your graph dictates, which direction you go first. So my slope, or my y-intercept, is -4, so let's go graph that. 1, 2, 3. It appears it should be down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, my slope is -1. Now, my rise, then, if it's a negative, that means I would go down, but my graph kind of runs out of room, right? So I don't want to do that. I want to actually have my rise, I want to go up. So let's go up 1. Well, that would mean that I need to then make the bottom negative, which would mean I need to go left 1. Okay? And I could keep doing that. Up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. Okay? Go graph that. That's not bad. Well, that's not great either. Neither is that, but we're going to live with it. Okay. Alright, now we've got one in standard form. Well, if I'm comfortable with graphing in slope-intercept form, I could go do that for this too. So let's tackle that way. Go ahead and let's put it in slope-intercept form. I'd move 6x over, so I'd have -y equals -6x plus 3. But I don't want a -y there. I want a y, which means I would need to change all of the signs. First thing I see is that my slope is 6, which is 6 over 1. Y-intercept is -3. Graph that. 1, 2, 3. Apply my slope. Up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1. Go graph my line. Take a stab and say it's about right there. That's not bad. Not terrible. Okay. Alright, so that's graphing when it's in, when you've got slope and intercept. Now to graph a line in standard form, what we would do is find the slope and one intercept, or you can find both x and y intercepts, and we'll show you the easy way to do that, and what components of the equation will dictate what you choose to do. So let's see. First, here's what I'm looking for initially. I'm going to look to see if this number right here, C, is divisible by both a and b. If it is, your easiest route is going to be to find the x and the y-intercept. Okay? To find the x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y and solve for x. So 2x minus 3 times 0 equals 12. When I plug in 0 for y, that's going to go away, right? So all I have is 2x equals 12 or x equals 6. So I have an x-intercept at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's say it's out in here. Okay. Now, to find the y-intercept, I guess I could have actually written that out. That would be at 6, 0. To find the y-intercept, I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug in a 0 for x. Minus 3y equals 12. Well, that would mean negative 3y equals 12, which would mean that y equals negative 4. And I would have a point at 0, negative 4. So I go left and right 0, I go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, everybody okay with that? And I draw my line accordingly. Something like that. I highly recommend that if this value is divisible by both those, because quite honestly, you can probably do that in your head. Y's go away, my x-intercept is 6. X's go away, my y-intercept is negative 4. Boom, boom, done. Okay. Now the second one. You'll have that when one of them is divisible by that c value. So here, since this number is divisible by 9, I am going to be able to find my y-intercept. And I do that by plugging in 0 for x. Well, negative 3y equals 9, which would mean that y would equal negative 3. If y equals negative 3, I've got a point at 0, negative 3. Graph it. 1, 2, 3. Now this other one's not divisible, so I would get a fraction for my x-intercept, which means, you could do that, but what I'd rather do is just figure up the slope. And hopefully you will start to remember that the slope in standard form is simply going to be the opposite of my a value over my b value, which is negative 3. So if I have negative 5 over negative 3, that's the same as 5 over 3, which means I have a positive slope. Up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 3, 1, 2, and 3. And there we go. Okay. Looks good. Now the last one, it says graph a line parallel to 2x plus 6y equals 9. Okay. That passes through the origin. So right away, I know that it goes through the origin. So I can, right off the bat, graph a point at the origin. Okay. Now this line doesn't go through the origin, but the line parallel to it. So the only thing I need to know is what's the slope of this line. Because I know my new line goes through the origin. So all I need to know is what's the slope of this line, because a line parallel to it has the same slope. So standard form, the opposite of the a value over the b value. So simplify that, negative 1 over 3, which means I would go down 1 to the right 3. Graph my line. Boom. Done. Okay. So just trying to piece things together as you can. Okay, lastly, some special lines, which we shouldn't have too much problem with, hopefully. Um, those special lines are ones that only contain one variable, which means that they are either going to be a horizontal or a vertical line. If it only here's the easiest way I can explain it to you guys. If it only contains a y and a number, that means that that's the y-intercept, okay? Now, so I need to solve for y here. So 2y equals negative 4y equals negative 2, right? That negative 2 right there is the y-intercept. That's not very pretty, is it? That negative 2 is the y-intercept. 1, 2. Now, what kind of line must that be? All right, y equals a negative 2. Well, if it's got a y-intercept, there is no x, therefore there is no x-intercept here. So it is a horizontal line. Okay? It has a y-intercept and no x-intercept. That means it has to be a horizontal line. Alright. Go down here to this last one. 1/3 x equals 2. Solve for x. I'd have to multiply both sides by 3. X equals 6. That tells me that I have a x-intercept at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it has an x-intercept and no y-intercept, that means that this must be a vertical line. So if it contains only a y, it's horizontal. If it contains only an x, it is vertical. Now, your assignment is simply going to be to complete both of those handouts. You were supposed to do through 27 on the second one today, so we're going to scrap where it says odd, and we're going to just continue on the rest of the handout. So remainder of first two handouts, which would be everything except for the factoring in the packet that I gave you. All right. See ya.